Our next poet is Mike Johnsen from Mill Creek. And Mike is a graduate of the Rainier Writing Workshop MFA program at Pacific Lutheran. And Mike's work has appeared in Between the Lines, Clemmer, Debris Magazine, and Crab Creek Review.
I think I'm going to read 3 of these if I can get through them. I need to let you know right off the bat I'm having a problem modulating my voice. This last Tuesday I got hearing aids for the first time. I can hear a mouse fart at 50 yards and his claws in the heart. So my voice is very, very loud to me now, so I'll do the best I can. Government Issues, the poem that was chosen by Tony. Thank you. And by the way, tell those guys, everybody that writes poetry will submit to any journal.
I didn't know that.
I give my poems to winos on the corner. This is Government Issue, and it begins with an epigraph by Bruce Springsteen. I got in a little hometown jam, and so they put a rifle in my hands, sent me off to Vietnam to go and kill the yellow man. We must be 300 or 400 lined up, snaking along 100 yards of plywood corridor. Bare feet on cold concrete worn shiny, every last one of us in white cotton briefs or patterned boxers, our Levi's and t-shirts, our shoes and socks, clumps held against our chests. There was nervous laughter. A couple of badasses shoved their way up the line. I'm intimidated and not yet a man. They say they'll make one of me if it kills me. Odds on, it will. Room temperature is 40 degrees, and for the only time in my life I am unable to piss in a cup. My only hope, they'll find something wrong with me. At the front of the line, Eddie Zappos is smiling wide behind the fullest black beard ever seen on a 17-year-old. I've managed only stray patches of coarse blonde stubble either side of my chin. The line divides by 2, with most of the near naked moving to the right after a brief checklist and a couple of coughs with doctors. Zappos is one of the few to go left. He's told him he'll kill anyone that's not white, no matter which fucking side they're fighting on. Years later, he's arrested and confined for shooting cannonballs off the Golden Gate Bridge in a Nazi helmet. I walk out of there certified healthy enough to die for my country. Like an idiot, I come back for their war. A turbulent airplane flight north. An olive green bus ride, a mile-long row of military loading docks no more sheltered from the rain than I am. Like assembly line meat, I'm cut up and repackaged. I emerge as government issue, GI. 2 months of bad days pile up. A Mississippi shit-kicker named Tyrone hangs onto a hand grenade longer than instructed. On the rifle range, a recruit mistakes a drill sergeant for a wire-bound straw target. A company of the 4th Infantry returns from Nam, 225 members shy of the original 250. Yes, I am scared shitless. It's impossible to hide. The only privacy I'm allowed is in the room I built in my head. I've been lied to. I'm still not a man. With leave, I suffer Christmas home to pats on my back. I score some weed, drop acid for the first time. 6 weeks hallucinating between San Francisco and Laguna Beach. Room and board at the Presidio Stockade where they hit me with enough downers to kill the enemy. Handcuffed to an airplane, I'm shipped to Fort Dix, and we're 25 miles from the birthplace of Bruce Springsteen. I'm locked away for my own good. Finally, I have something wrong with me. I'll get through the answers as much quickly as I can because I don't want to take up anyone else's time here. Robert Kelly says no poem is ever finished. And this poem speaks to the truth of those words. It was intended initially, I started this in 2003, late 2003. And I have rewritten this thing so many times, I submitted it as part of my thesis, and I'm still rewriting the poem. And it was intended as a poem of hope, when there wasn't any. Accidental flowers. These foothills stand like a promontory between life and what passes for life. Where I stand at the top of the rise, the wind off the water is coldest, harder for a lack of protection. Stripped bare by a violent fall, the maples are cheated of their color. This October lie wears into January. February deceived by a Judas wind. Winter lingers. Rainwater gutters across a landscape seared and scored. Rows of houses scar the hillside. In the vacant spaces between, raised plats of gray mud await new tenants. Only an island of green survives, even flourishes. An unusable parcel granted salvation from planned devastation. My dog tugs at her leash, anxious to make the path that leads down. I let her run, mistaking squirrels for cats, among the fir and pine and the few redwoods that remain. Like discarded thoughts, needles and seed pod carpet wet ground. Crows bob and peck without profit. The light, dim for the trees, plays me dark tricks. A memory of grief rustling in the undergrowth. Indifferent to my footsteps, the uninvited dead come. How is it I talk with them and not the living? Visit and revisit in the gloom thicket. A father fallen begs redemption. A skin of bark where insects feed with workmanlike intent. Like curled leaves, his outstretched hands a death grip. A child, lost in this wood. His mother's face a rippled wraith beneath a pond's black skim, brackish and forsaken. An apostate of friends fled, chortle in a canker of brush, come late, unwanted. In a spatter of mud, the sodden leaves of love, torn and rotting, a faithless wife, wintertide herself. Yet somewhere, in some other place, water moves over rock and bough. Sun brilliant on a breaking crested wave. The retinal colors of autumn, and singing, that too. Winter rain is falling again. The dog and I head back up the hill. She sniffs the hollow spaces of a short rock wall that hugs the trail. Tendrils of purple phlox and brittle branches of Christmas rose fight their small way out, perhaps by accident, from between the crowded rock, sheltered against the seasons. The only thing I can tell you about this is I'm not really sure where it came from. But I live in what's called fluid time, and I think you need to kind of explain some of this for you. The smell of old wood. I drove past this house yesterday. Though it wasn't my intention to stop, I backed up 20 or so feet. It's set like a memory. Felt maybe in the mid-40s it tugged at the edges of some old sadness. Just this side of the property line stood a tall pin oak, the lower branches softening the sharp angle of the roof. Overhead, blue sky, hot and out of breath. A prepper gray-headed woman dug in the soil at the base of a large camellia, its variegated rose-like flowers sunning at the roof line. She moved, it seemed, no faster than the flowers grew. On a shaded porch, a wooden swing for two hung by rusted chain, so old it looked like it hadn't been used in years. Evidence aside, it swung like someone had just got up from it. Set back at the end of a rutted dirt drive was a freestanding garage, two large doors propped open. I could see the old man's husband bent over a workbench. Out of my car, I walked the length of the drive, stepped across the wooden threshold, my shoes soft and muted on a sawdust floor. Hi, Grandpa. Hello, boy. What are you doing? I'm cleaning out the old Ford's fuel pump. How about you? I just woke up, had this crazy dream. I couldn't find the white kitty, and those big black bumblebees were chasing me out back by the fig. He turned back to his work as though I wasn't there. Sunlight declined through the only window, like an old movie projector trapping suspended particles of dust in luminous silence. My memory loud with film fluttering across its aperture. A single cobweb clung fragile to a lower window pane, 3 horseflies stiff on the sill. Metal toolboxes rusted shut, the smell of old wood. A museum of ancient artifacts showing on 16-penny nails. Mechanic's man fallen at his feet. I could see the shape of his balding head, a sparse dusting of white clinging like lint. His long, gaunt body didn't look 80 to me. Grandpa, can we go with J.D. and fish for cat down at the creek after you're done in here? You boys will have to walk down there yourselves. I'm leaving to go to town with your grandmother. You look out for them cottonmouths. You tell J.D. to watch where he walks. There'll be plenty more summers waiting for us. I heard the whistle blow out at the old refinery, boarded up a good 45 years ago. Overhead a jetliner on approach, its turbines working hard to slow its flight. At the window, another fly had joined its rotting kin. I realized I was late getting where I was headed. I closed the garage doors to keep the heat out, the hinges loose and indifferent. Got in my car and started the engine. Let it roll by itself. As I checked my mirror, the old woman stood and turned toward me. I waved hello and goodbye, coasting away. Her voice drifted through the open window. You drive careful, son. We set down to supper at 5, like always. Leave yourself time to wash up. Thank you.